Okay guys, just doing a video here as we mentioned in class to back up the quick overview we did of the assignment and getting your images into the template in InDesign and being able to save that as a PDF, okay? So we ran through this. This is a key component here, this documenting your research section, because what I want to make sure you do is when you search your images, you can't just pull your images, copy and paste them or pull them into your InDesign document. So this isn't like a Google Doc here. So I know it would be much easier to say, hey, just create a Google Doc, grab all these images and pull them in there and you're good to go. I mean, that's fine for for doing a research document or something, but I want to get you guys thinking about how images and your files coexist, okay, or your documents coexist, and how essentially in a print situation especially, your images always have to be with your document. So if you consider my images folders here, these are like the suitcases for the trip, okay, and my document is that's the master element. Everything needs to go with that file, okay? So you got to link your files and make sure your files go with your document. Okay, so we'll talk more about that. So for example, if I start looking at images here, I've searched graphic design 1950s, and I know it's easy to go right to images, and if you do, that's fine. Again, like we talked about, you just want to be able to discern what's actually made in the 50s and what's an approximation of that. So a lot of these, you could tell they are vintage sort of 50s ads. Some of these, like this poster, is based on the work of Saul Bass, but not necessarily of that era. This is something from the era. These are not, obviously, okay? So just make sure, if you go this route of just searching graphic design 1950s, you're able to pick out what is actually from that era, okay? Another thing to do would be to say graphic designers from the 1950s. And if you went through here and, graphic designer, this is a little video review, like a minute or so. You can go to the golden age of graphic design, 1950s and 1960s, graphic design styles through the ages, 1950. So this will generally tell you, in fact, actually, let's do this. Let's go to mid-century graphic design. That looks good, okay? And this is going to show you, influential designers. So here's C.P. Pinellas, we've talked about, and she was part of the video that you guys watched. Paul Rand, one of the icons as well. And so now you can go in and look and see. You can even search the work of these guys and know that a lot of their work is going to be from this era. Okay. If you look at Saul Bass, you automatically start to see. He was famous for a lot of his 50s movie posters, and you can see the Man with the Golden Arm. U.S. Movie Theaters 1955. You can even just grab that, search it, and find the posters for that, and you're finding something from the era, okay? All right, so that's, again, think about how you search. Again, if you go straight to graphic design 1950s and just go straight into images, that could be fine too. What we want to try to do is find, the best examples of what we're trying to do. So for point, for example, this Paul Rand book cover could work. It might be a little small though, but that might be a nice one for point. So you get the drift, okay? So however you want to, so here's some Saul Bass work here. If you're gonna grab your image, what you want to do is make sure you have a folder to put it into, okay? What I'll typically do is I'm on a Mac, so it's essentially right clicking. I'll control click and it'll say save image as. So it's like right clicking on a mouse that has, I just have a regular mouse here, so it doesn't have the ability to right click. I just control click and you can save image as. I'm going to save it as, what do I want to do? I want to do this one for plane because I like the planes that are happening here. I'm going to say plane 1, 50s and 60s, okay? And then I'm going to go to my line examples, my plane examples here. I'm going to save it right into there, okay? All right, so I've saved that image. I haven't just dragged it into the file. I haven't copied and pasted it, anything. I actually physically saved it into a folder that is now on my computer, so that file exists on my machine, okay? So that's an important distinction, all right? So if I go in here now, I can see that I have my folder, point line and plane research images. We looked at this in class. So my plane examples, that one should be here right now. Plane 1, 50s and 60s, okay? I know that's in there. It's a little bit small, but we'll see if it works for the document, okay? I'm gonna go into my template file, which you guys have downloaded. And again, if you're using an earlier version of InDesign, you wanna use the IDML. The OL just means outline. It means the type is all in outlines, which means that the font, you don't have to have the font to be able to access this, okay? So don't worry about that, just open it. And we have our template here. And again, one thing you wanna consider doing is going to Window and then to Workspace. And I use the typography workspace, okay? If you're in Essentials or something else, this one it's handy to use. It gives me all the measurement elements I need up here, and it's what I found to be the most flexible, okay? If you don't see your Pages palette here, again, you can go under Window and go to Pages, okay? If it's checked here, you'll know that it's showing somewhere it's open somewhere, okay? Sometimes they're hard to see, and even if you go here and it's already clicked, you might click off of it and then click back onto it, and it'll pop out. So you'll know, okay, that's where it is. It might be hidden somewhere. Okay. So now I look into here and I've started previewing my document. I know that I have 30 pages here. Everything here is explained to me in terms of where things are going to be. So if I'm going to start with point 1, for example, I'm on page 1. Make sure that your page that you're on, that you're intending to copy, to bring to place your images into, make sure that page is essentially highlighted, so you're actually on that page, because sometimes it'll look like you're on, especially if you're scrolling, it'll look like you're on page 1, but you're actually on page 2. So when you go to place your image, it's gonna go on to page 2. So make sure you're on page 1. Okay, and then handy thing here on a Mac, it's Command. I assume it's Control-0 on Windows. If you Command or Control-0, it just pops the document right in on your screen, so it fits it to the screen. Okay. If you go to Command 1 or Control-1, it's going to show you the actual size. So that works too in this case. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go to File. I have my images now. I've done my research. They're all saved. They're all placed in the folders and organized and named properly. So I'm clear as to what's what. I'll go to File. And I'll go to Place, okay, which is Command D, which is what I always use. I rarely use the drop-down menus, so sometimes it takes me a while to find things because I'm always using shortcuts. And I go to my point examples, and like we did in class, point 1, 20s and 30s, I'm going to start there. I'm going to hit Open, and you'll see the image here. You click on your page, and it opens up, and obviously it opens up rather large, okay? So I'm gonna, with this saved, with the black arrow, with this selected, and with the black arrow, I'm just gonna simply go to this drop-down menu here, and I wanna make sure this button is checked, okay? So if this is unchecked and I hit 50%, it's gonna squeeze it like that, which we don't want, okay? Command Z that. I wanna make sure this button is checked, so when I drop down and bring it down 75 or 50% to 50% or so, it's doing that proportionally, okay? And that's pretty close to what I want. I know that's right in the center of the page. It's obviously not centered exactly here, so I'm going to bump that down a little bit. If you use your arrows to bump things down, it takes a while. If you hold your Shift key, it'll do it in larger space increments, okay? So that's pretty much good to go there, okay? Go to my next page, Command D now, Control D, try your shortcuts. I'm gonna go to point 2, 20s and 30s, pop this here, same deal. It's still selected, so I'm just gonna go to my 50%, bring it in here. Again, I have my smart guides turned on. That's why that purple line shows up, so it shows me it's right in the center, and that's pretty much good to go. If your smart guides are not on, go to View, Grids and Guides, and you can click on Smart Guides, okay? And that's how you do that. So at the end of the day, you continue to do this. I get down, let's say I'm at, let's go to plane for 50s. I wanted to put in that Saul Bass image. Scrolling through here. plane 2, plane, okay, plane 1, 60s and 70s, plane 1, 40s and 50s. Okay, so I'm going to, again, controller command D. I'm going to go to my plane examples, and I know it's right here. Oh, I'm sorry, I put 50s and 60s. It should be 40s and 50s. So that was my bad there. I forgot we're at 40s and 50s and not 50s and 60s. So you make sure that's named properly. And then open that up, pop it in there. And actually the size is fine. That works pretty well. I could even bring that down a little bit because it's looking a little bit bitmappy, which I don't love. So I take that down a little bit in size, and that becomes less of an issue in this situation. And that would work for me, okay? These are just, reference documents, so I'm not overly concerned about the highest resolution, obviously. This would be borderline because it looks a little pixelated, so I might go in and find another image if that was the case, okay? So you have all your images in your file, okay? Let's say this is full 30 pages of populated images. One thing that's important, especially let's say you're working on this on a machine that is not yours, okay? And you're gonna need to bring all these files and have them together, okay? Obviously you can just manually, make sure that you have all of your folders saved onto the whatever drive you're putting it to, along with your main file. One thing you could do that's always handy, and we'll typically do this at the end of a print job once it's ready to go, is you go to File. So for example, if you're working in class and you want to make sure you have all of your linked files come with you, you can go to File, Package, and show me a warning here. 3 of my links use RGB color space, okay? That's okay because I'm not printing this. If I was printing it, then I would be more concerned about it, but I'm not using, it's not gonna be printed, so RGB is fine because that's gonna be a PDF and we're gonna view it on screen. So RGB is fine, so don't worry about that. 3 links have found because I put 3 linked files in there so far. 0 are modified, 0 are missing. That's the important part. You don't want any of your links to be missing. I'll hit Package. I'll save it first, which I should have been doing anyway. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in my history area. No, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do this, sorry. I'll put this here. I'm gonna put it in my main folder here. I'm gonna package that. And this is somewhat redundant. I don't need to do this because all of my files are here and they're joined together, but I want you to see how to do this. When you go, before you package it, you have to decide, do you want to, there are no fonts in here, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to have that. Bring the linked graphics in. If you want to include an IDML file, which is again a way to save it down to work in a lower version, you can. I don't need to here. One thing you can do as a shortcut is say include the PDF, which is good, and you can select your PDF presets here. And high quality print's fine, just to make sure it's the best looking doc for us to look at. And then hit Package. Okay, it'll create that folder for you. So when you click out of here, and you go to your, so I'm going to close that. I go to this file now. Now I have this document, point line plane eras template folder. Okay, so I have this folder that I just made, which is from packaging that document. I have the document here, so when I open this up, all my files are there. Okay, and I also have this PDF that I made, which is what I'm going to be handing in. So you're saving yourself a step there. Okay, we didn't place all of these images here, so obviously, and that's about as simple as you can make it. If you have any questions on that, let me know. But again, remember, the key thing is to make sure you save images to folders, and then make sure that those folders are always kept with your document, because those are linked into your document. Okay, so again, you don't get on the plane without your luggage, essentially, right? So make sure that stuff is always there for you. Any questions, let me know.